Hello. I just wanted to share a funny story about writing my post this week. Um, as I was working on the section about telling the story of the death freak to my mother, all of a sudden I had to stop writing because I had to somehow get my hands on a copy of The Princess Bride by William Goldman. And I couldn't continue until I did that. So I only needed the introduction, so I was able to track it down eventually as the free sample for Kindle, because I only needed a very specific piece of information. But the whole process of that reminded me of a book called From Strength to Strength: Finding Success, Happiness, and Deep Purpose in the Second Half of Life by Arthur C. Brooks. And the reason it reminded me of that is because um, the prefrontal cortex, which is the last part of our brain to form, apparently is the first part that starts to go south on us. So we can start to lose our abilities of innate intelligence as early as our 30s and as late as our 50s. And of course, I've blown past both those decades. So I'm in full on decline right now. So as a result of that decline, I'm more distractible. I'm less good at task switching. I'm terrible in multitasking. Um, as the example, I got obsessed with this sideline thing. My memory is much, much slower, so I can't do trivia anymore, even though I probably know the answers to the questions. And thirdly, I'm not going to come up with as many original ideas as I might have earlier in my life. So my choices are to either fight all that and say, I'm as good as I ever was, I'm still as sharp as I ever was, and fail more and more often in proving that, or to kind of work toward developing skills that align with the strengths that I have now. And those strengths include finding new ways to share complex ideas. Like I was able to share the idea of this brain development decline in relationship to a post that I'd written that was somehow unrelated. I'm able to explain things in more understandable ways. I think we've all been down that track where we wanted to do something and then something on the sideline really called us away. And then, thirdly, the ability to make connections between complex ideas. And the seed that made me want to go back and look at William Goldman's introduction to The Princess Bride was that the story goes that little Billy Goldman got sick with pneumonia. And he was all about sports, but he couldn't get the game on his radio station. So his father, seeing that he was miserable and in distress, took out this book that had meant something to him in his childhood. And although he was almost illiterate, he paged through the book and told the story to his son. And he noticed when his son was getting bored, he would amp up the story and make it more entertaining. And I realized as I was writing the next section about my mother that that was what I was doing with the Death Freak. That's how I was learning to tell stories. But the motivation in both cases was telling a story to divert a loved one from a painful experience they were going through. In Billy Goldman's case, pneumonia, and in my mom's case, chemotherapy. So I thought that would be fun to share that little insight with you from the week.